Welcome back to Let's Talk Taxes. We've got a deep dive into the 1040 today.
You know that form,
Yeah.
the one that kind of makes everyone just cringe a little bit.
Right.
We're going to make it a little less scary.
Yeah. We're excited to have De'More Tax Service LLC with us today to help us navigate this.
Absolutely. Break it down into some easy steps.
Yeah, make it
Make it manageable.
fun, maybe even. We found this YouTube video that really breaks down the 1040 step by step. And what's great is it's focused on a scenario that applies to a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners, too. Single filers,
Yeah.
no dependents, just that W-2 job.
Yeah. And they're using the 1040 instructions.
Which is great. So many people just kind of gloss over those. They're so important. They're like a roadmap
Yeah.
through the whole process. And tax laws change every year.
Right?
Having those instructions by your side is crucial.
I love how this YouTuber breaks everything down in plain English. It's like they're just sitting there with you,
Right.
guiding you through each section.
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially if you're maybe thinking about doing your taxes yourself this year.
Yeah.
Before we get into the 1040,
Okay.
there's a key concept. This YouTuber highlights the standard deduction,
Oh, yeah, this standard deduction.
like a free pass
Yeah.
from the IRS on a certain amount of your income.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, it's like a certain amount of your income that the IRS just says, we're not going to tax you on this.
Exactly. It reduces your taxable income. If your income is below the standard deduction,
Okay.
you might not even have to file, even if you do. Understanding the standard deduction is super important.
Got it.
All right, so we're getting into the 1040 now.
Okay.
The first thing you see, filing status.
Right. Single, married. It's like it's getting to know you,
Right.
but then it hits you with a curveball.
Cryptocurrency.
Uh-oh.
The digital Wild West on the 1040. The IRS is asking now directly, have you bought, sold, traded any cryptocurrency during the year?
So no more flying under the radar with those Bitcoin investments.
None anymore. The IRS is making it very clear cryptocurrency transactions, they're taxable events.
Okay.
So whether you're a seasoned trader or just starting out,
Right.
you need to understand
The implications.
the implications. And this is where a tax professional can really help you out.
Yeah, and speaking of tax professionals, if you're feeling lost in these tax forms, I definitely recommend checking out DeMoreTaxService.com. They can help make sense of all this stuff for you.
Absolutely.
So back to the 1040, after filing status and the crypto question.
We're diving into
Yeah,
the heart of the matter.
reporting our income.
Yes. This YouTuber is using a simple example, $40,000 from a W-2 job.
And they point out it's not just your main job, it's any income from interest, dividends, side hustles.
All of it
It all needs to be reported.
needs to be on there. And that's where it can get a little
Tricky.
tricky. If you have those extra sources,
Yeah.
you're going to need a Schedule 1.
Go.
It's like an annex to your 1040.
Yeah.
You give a more detailed breakdown of all those different income streams.
Okay, so we've got our W-2 income, maybe some side hustle cash.
Yeah.
Filled out Schedule 1 if we needed to. What's next?
Now for the part everyone loves,
Oh, yeah.
deductions.
Deductions.
This is where you can potentially lower your taxable income and reduce your tax bill. You know, the YouTuber really emphasizes this.
Yeah.
This choice between the standard deduction
Yeah.
and itemizing.
So what's the difference?
Well, standard deduction, it's a fixed amount.
Okay.
It's the simplest option for a lot of people.
Right.
Itemized deductions, this is where you actually list specific expenses that qualify for those deductions. So things like
Yeah, like mortgage interest.
mortgage interest,
Yeah.
charitable donations, medical expenses. You can list all of those.
Oh,
The YouTuber mentions, though.
yeah, they say that itemizing might sound tempting.
But it comes with a risk.
Yeah. A higher risk of being audited.
Because you're listing everything out, you need to be really meticulous
Yeah.
with your record keeping.
Like every receipt.
Substantiate all of those deductions.
So for someone who's just starting out, what do you recommend? Standard or exploring itemized?
It really depends on your individual circumstances.
Yeah.
If your expenses exceed that standard deduction,
Okay.
then itemizing might make sense. If you're not sure, talk to a tax pro.
Right.
They can help you make the best choice.
So now I'm curious, after we've got these deductions, what happens next?
Well, you arrive at your taxable income. That's the number that's really important because that determines how much tax you owe.
Right.
And here's the good news. The 1040 instructions, they actually have tax tables built in.
Oh, nice.
So they help you figure out how much tax you owe based on your filing status and that taxable income.
Okay.
The built-in cheat sheet.
Nice.
So you can just look it up.
Okay, so that brings us to another section,
Yes.
withholding.
Yes.
What is that?
Withholding is the money that your employer takes out of your paycheck all year for taxes. And the goal is to align your withholding with your actual tax liability as closely as possible.
Okay, and the YouTuber gave an example, someone getting a refund.
Right.
Which means they overpaid throughout the year.
Exactly. That's actually really common. That
Yeah.
refund is the IRS giving you back the extra money you paid. But you can also underpay.
Right.
And if you underpay, you might owe money when you file.
So we've covered income deductions, taxable income, and withholding. What's next?
Well, the 1040 wraps up with just some final steps, bank account info for direct deposit if you are getting a refund, and of course, signing the form.
Right.
Make sure you sign it.
The YouTuber suggested the IRS Free File Program.
Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic resource.
You can file your taxes electronically for free.
For free.
For a lot of people.
For a lot of people, especially for those with simpler tax situations.
Yeah.
But make sure you check those eligibility requirements.
Right.
Make sure you qualify. And even if you are going DIY, having a tax professional review things can give you some peace of mind.
Right.
Make sure you're not missing any potential savings.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And if you're looking for expert guidance, I highly recommend DeMoreTaxService.com.
They can give you some personalized advice and...
to help you through all the complexities of the 1040.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome back to our deep dive into the 1040. We've covered a lot of ground so far, but we didn't really get into dependents.
Right.
That YouTube video focused on
single filers.
Single filers with no dependents.
Yes, no dependents. But a lot of people out there
have families.
Yeah.
Got kids, maybe other people that they support financially. And you can claim those folks
on your 1040
as dependents on your 1040. And I bet that comes with some tax perks.
Right. It's got to be good for something. What are those?
You bet it does. There are certain tax credits and deductions you can unlock when you claim dependents that can potentially lower your tax bill.
Okay, so tell us more about those dependent-related tax breaks.
Sure. One of the biggest ones is the child tax credit. That can significantly reduce your tax bill for each qualifying child. And then there's also different education credits that can help offset the cost of college.
So it's a really big deal.
Really big deal.
For families who are trying to, manage all these expenses.
Yeah.
So I imagine there are a lot of rules around who qualifies as a dependent.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of rules. And they change frequently.
Oh, no.
So always double check those IRS guidelines. There are age limits, residency requirements, and a support test to determine if someone truly qualifies.
Okay. So this is probably another area where a tax professional would really be useful.
Absolutely. It's best to make sure you're doing everything correctly, claiming all those credits and deductions you're entitled to, while staying on the good side of the IRS.
Right, of course. Okay, so dependents add a layer of complexity, but those tax benefits sound worth exploring.
Yeah.
What else did our YouTuber friend tell us about?
Well, they also brought up this point about, the potential audit risk.
Uh-oh.
With itemized deductions.
Yeah, I remember they mentioned that.
It's not meant to scare you. It's
Right.
away from itemizing, but it is something to be aware of. There's more scrutiny.
Yeah.
You're basically making a case to the IRS
Right.
for every deduction you claim.
So you better have your ducks in a row.
Absolutely.
Every receipt, everything documented.
Meticulous record keeping is key. Think of it as building a defense
Right.
for your tax return just in case.
Hopefully we never get to that point.
Hopefully. But most people
Yeah.
never face an audit. But you should still be prepared. Have that documentation ready just in case.
Okay, so we got dependents, we got itemized deductions, and the looming threat of an audit. What other good stuff did the YouTuber tell us?
Well, they mentioned there's a few additional forms that you might need to file.
Oh, great. More forms.
It's not too bad, I promise. It just depends on your situation.
Okay.
They mentioned Schedule 2
Yeah.
for certain less common taxes,
Mm.
and Schedule 3 for some additional credits and payments.
Schedules 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm getting lost in all these schedules.
don't worry, it's not that bad. So, for instance, Schedule 2, that's for things like the alternative minimum tax or taxes on certain retirement plan distributions, not your everyday taxes.
Wow, it's not the stuff everyone has to do.
Right. Just be aware in case they apply to you.
And Schedule 3.
That one.
Let's on that one.
That's where you claim those education credits we talked about earlier. Also covers things like
Yeah.
estimated tax payments you made throughout the year.
Oh, okay, so it's just kind of a catch-all.
Yeah, it's a catch-all. For those extra things that don't fit on the main 1040,
I feel like doing taxes is this giant puzzle.
it is a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. Each form is a piece
Okay.
of your financial story. assemble them correctly.
Right.
You get a clear picture of your tax obligations.
Hopefully with a nice little refund at the end.
One can hope. But even if you end up owing money, filing accurately is super important. It's part of being a responsible citizen.
Absolutely.
Helps keep society functioning.
Now, I wanted to go back to something you mentioned before
Sure.
about tax laws changing so often. How can people stay on top of that?
That's a really good question. The tax landscape is always changing.
Yeah.
So you got to stay informed. The IRS website is your best friend.
Okay.
Lots of good info there. Reputable financial websites.
Right?
Those can also help. You can even sign up for email alerts from the IRS.
Oh, well.
So they send you updates when things change.
Okay. Those are good tips. And, speaking of staying on top of all those changes, I think having a tax professional can really help with that.
Absolutely. They can give you reminders, organize your documents, file extensions if you need more time. It's just peace of mind.
Peace of mind. And speaking of tax professionals, if you're looking for expert guidance, be sure to check out DeMoreTaxService.com.
They can help you stay ahead of all those changes and
Make sure your tax strategy
is up to date.
Okay, this is a great place to pause. What's coming up in part 3? Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. We've covered income deductions, dependence audits.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But even with, all this info
Right.
and our best intentions, sometimes we make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
So what are some of those common pitfalls that people run into when they're filing?
Even with all the resources we have, it's still really easy to make simple errors.
Right.
One of the biggest ones, believe it or not, math mistakes.
Really?
It sounds basic,
Yeah,
but it's so easy to mess up those numbers.
I can definitely relate to that.
Especially when you're dealing with all these forms and schedules.
Yeah.
Double check your calculation.
Yeah, use a calculator.
Calculator's key,
And an eraser.
just in case.
Yeah, in case you got to go back. What else should we watch out for?
Missing deadlines, that's another big one.
Oh, yeah.
Tax deadline,
April 15th.
April 15th usually. And the IRS,
Did I mess around?
not known for their leniency.
Right.
So,
Taxes and procrastination don't mix.
not a good combo.
No.
Gather your documents early.
Breathe.
Give yourself plenty of
I
time.
won't wait till the last minute.
No, because if you rush, mistakes happen.
Yeah. And then you miss out on potential savings.
Exactly. That's where a tax professional
Yeah.
can really help you. They can send reminders, help you get organized, even file an extension if you need more time.
So, no more last minute scramble
Right.
through those shoe boxes.
No more shoe boxes.
Okay. So, we've got math errors. We've got deadlines. What else?
Another common one, not reporting all your income.
Wait, people try to hide income from the IRS.
Sometimes it's unintentional.
Right.
Maybe you forgot about a side gig.
Right.
Or a small investment that earns some money. It's super important to remember. The IRS gets copies of your W-2s, 1099s, all those income statements.
Right.
So they'll know
They're going to know.
if something's missing.
So if you're not sure,
Report it.
report it.
Better to over-report
Yeah,
than under-report.
definitely. Okay. Any other tax traps we should be aware of?
Oh, yeah. Claiming ineligible deductions or credits.
Oh, okay.
There are very specific rules for each one.
Right.
Make sure you understand those.
So no deducting that fancy espresso machine as a business expense?
Probably not, although there are legitimate deductions for home offices and things.
Right.
You got to make sure they meet those IRS requirements.
Right. So don't get too creative.
Don't push it
Don't give the IRS a reason.
to come knocking.
Right. Okay, well, I'm feeling much more prepared to tackle these tax pitfalls.
Good.
Any final words of wisdom?
Yes. Get your documents together early.
Right.
Organize. W-2s, 1099s, anything related to your income or expenses.
Get it all together.
Yep. And consider using tax software or, talk to a tax pro, especially if things are complicated.
Yeah. Or if you just feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. Get some help.
Yeah, those are great tips. And it's worth investing in that expert advice.
Yeah.
To make sure everything's done right
Mm.
and we're maximizing those deductions and credits.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for that personalized guidance throughout tax season, check out DeMoreTaxService.com.
They've been amazing.
Yeah.
Really demystifying the 1040 for us.
Yes. Helping you feel more confident
Yeah.
about your taxes.
And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk Taxes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you found it insightful, maybe even a little fun. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances.